Hello, my name is Jolie DeCleva, and I am with Living Well Intentionally. I sell doTERRA essential oils and help people get started with natural health care. And I also do 6-month health coaching programs with people all over the world. So I read a really interesting book. It's called Stop Starting Over by Devin Klein. And this aligns so much with what I believe and feel about health coaching. And so I wanted to add my 2 cents worth and use some of his thoughts and hopefully produce a video that is really encouraging for you, that you know that you can make lasting health changes and that this is possible for you. All right. The first thing that we need to address is that dieting and making temporary changes does not work. You can see another video I made called Why Diets Don't Work. But in general, when you make temporary changes, you may lose weight. But of course, when you start eating regularly again, that weight comes back. That's not what we're going for. We want to learn how to live healthy and make small changes over time so that our healthy choices add up to big results that last, right? That aren't temporary. So one thing that I really agree with Devin Klein's book is that 90% of our efforts towards making health changes is psychology. And only 10% is the strategy, those little steps, the to-dos. Really, so much of it is in our heart and in our mind, right? So we need to we used to think that knowledge was power, and we've heard that before, but we can have a lot of knowledge about a subject and really not move forward, right? Knowledge can be paralyzing too. Sometimes we know so much or we just don't take action. So really what's powerful is when we take that kinetic energy of knowledge and we turn it into motion. So we need to start by talking about the success mindset. You need a strong why. Devin Klein calls it the North Star. But in order to make changes that are going to be lasting, you have to have a reason. And what I encourage you to do is to use all of your senses, all 5 senses, to envision what your healthy version of yourself looks like. And really latch onto that. Allow yourself to smell and hear and envision this life that you want to make for yourself and that may be very different from the life that you have now. And then after you've envisioned that and see it clearly, then I also want you to envision what happens if you stay the same. So are you leading down this road of more medicines and more expenses and losing the ability to do some of the things that you love, and you're sad because you're left out or left behind while everyone else is doing things. Pain dictates your life. And that's important to envision too, because those negative feelings and emotions are important too as a motivator for change. Devin says, motion is created by emotion. So when we put that emotion into our vision, that can move us forward. And I agree with that. All right, our identity has to change in order to start making lasting changes towards our health. If we identify with people that are healthy, then we're going to start envisioning ourselves and saying, yeah, I align with that. I align with the eating well and the getting up and moving. I align with the saying no to smoking and heavy drinking. That's who I am. I agree with all those things. And so we start identifying and becoming what we believe to be true about ourselves. The opposite is true too. We can identify with being a couch potato and inactive and just eating incessantly. And, that can be part of our old story, but that is not who you are now. And so we don't want to identify with that. We want to envision ourselves over here as that healthy person with making healthy changes. So sometimes we really have to reprogram our brain to believe that we can attract anything we want in our life. And instead of focusing so much on all the how-tos, what to eat, when to eat, and the strategies, which we talk a lot about in health coaching, but really the main thing that you need to focus on is the why. Needs to be strong. According to Devin, the fear of failure is the biggest thing that keeps people from getting started with making any healthcare changes. And this is just tragic because really what we should fear is regret, that we didn't take action and now look at our lives. We should take action and move slowly and just keep working towards our goal so that we feel great about it. Even when we aren't perfect, we're moving forward. And I love this quote by Mel Robbins. It says, "It is impossible to fail when you view life as one big journey of learning and growing." When we see our health journey as one of learning, applying a new fact, learning, applying a new idea, getting a little bit more active, trying a new activity, working on our attitude, maybe journaling, working on our positive self-talk, and we're always in motion towards getting healthier, we're successful. And sometimes we need to stop defining success as a weight loss goal, because when you do that, you either fail or you succeed. And then when you're not at that weight, you're not a success. And so it's just this negative downward spiral of thinking that isn't helpful for making change. Devin, in his book, Stop Starting Over, talks about the rocking chair test. And I have done this exercise before where you write your obituary so that you can get a grasp on what do you want people to remember you by and what do you want your life to look like in retrospect. And that's a helpful exercise to really ponder, what do I want to be remembered for? How active do I want to be? What contribution do I want to make in my life? And if I'm not healthy, can I work towards that contribution? Can I be a missionary? Can I volunteer at whatever agencies you're dreaming about being a volunteer in? And once those things become very important to you and you realize their value, it just builds that why to be so strong and motivating. So now that you have a strong why, we're going to execute some of these changes. First of all, you can't be a dabbler in getting healthy. You need to decide that you're moving forward. And this is not just, oh, I'll try. It's a decision. And so that every day you're making movement towards your goal. And believing that anything is possible is important. Devin calls it your inner superhero, that when you were a child, you believed anything was possible, and we kind of lose that over time. And especially when we have failed in the past, when we haven't met our weight loss goals and we haven't met our health goals, we can feel defeated before we even start. We need to change that mindset so that we believe that anything is possible. Every day is a new day, and be ready to attack the day with positivity. So what is going on with our brain and in our brain is so important related to behavior change. So our brains are very unique and amazing in that they pay attention to what we tell them to pay attention to. We are bombarded with lots of information all day long, and our brain has to decide what to focus on. And so when we tell our brain that we are healthy and we are making great choices, then we are looking, that evidence for those things are become what we see. And the opposite is true. I'm lazy, I don't make good choices, I've always been fat, there's no hope for me. Then our brain will look for evidence to support those thoughts. But what we are telling ourselves is vitally important. So we want to visualize ourselves successful every day. Just a picture of that, when we started in the beginning, that vision of our why, our imaginary perfect situation of health. We need to visualize that. And our brain actually is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if we focus on all this positive, then we become that. And the opposite is true. When you focus on negativity, your life steers that way as well. getting a hold of your brain is a huge part of moving forward with your health. And when we, part of controlling your mindset also is building a toolbox of strategies so that when the hard times come up, the inevitable slip or things happen, that you have strategies to address those oopses or those mistakes. And that's what we do a lot with health coaching. Remembering that life is a marathon, not a sprint, and it's those gradual, tiny little slow changes that add up, positive habit upon positive habit, that lead to massive change over time. So it's interesting, when you ask yourself positive questions, you get a positive answer. And when you ask yourself negative questions, you get a negative answer. So, think about that when you're kind of having this conversation with yourself. You want to set yourself up for that positive, right? We want to have the attitude that life is happening for me, not to me. And we want to have the attitude that when adversity comes, that we're embracing it and we are growing, using it as a mechanism to make us better, learn new skills, have great conversations. So we talked about the brain and how important mindset is. Another thing that's really important is managing our emotions. And emotions are putting meaning to what's happening in our life. So we actually have a lot more control over our emotions than we typically give credit. And some of the ways that you can support your emotions are by practicing daily gratitude. And then Mel Robbins has what's called a 5-second rule, where you count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you jump out of bed and get going with the day. Or if you have a hard phone call, you train yourself to be disciplined. This isn't about willpower. Willpower is out. Willpower doesn't work, and we know that doesn't work. But what does work is being disciplined and training yourself and having such a strong why that you motivated to practice those hard things. As a matter of fact, we choose our hard, right? We either choose being sick is hard, being overweight is hard, being unmotivated and feeling depressed. That's hard. Or we can choose the hard of getting out of bed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get up and walk around the block and choose good foods. Maybe that means that you're setting aside something that you'd rather have. That's hard, but we choose our hard. Which hard do you want to choose? Health is determined by what we do and eat most of the time, not all of the time. So one of the strategies that Devin Klein uses in his book that I'm going to start using with my health coaching clients is to give yourself 12 consecutive hours off from eating, ideally, so that it's realistic. You can have a party night, or you can have a day off on Sunday and go out to breakfast and kind of splurge, because you can maintain that long term. The rest of the time, you're eating well. And I like to think of it as the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the time I'm really sharp with what I eat. 20% of the time I let myself snack on white cheddar popcorn or chocolate chips. And because I allow myself that freedom, I can keep it long term. And that's one of the reasons why diets don't work, is because we make it so strict that there's no way we can live our life out like that forever. And we don't want to make temporary changes. We want to make positive changes over time to make huge benefits for your health. So some of the things we work on with health coaching are working on that toolbox and really addressing some of the blocks that we have, some of our excuses, like I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I'm not a fitness person, I've tried everything, I just don't have enough energy to learn new things and exercise. And those are excuses, guys, and we can really work with those and figure out what's true and what can be different in your brain to help move yourself forward and not use those as stumbling points. So I want to encourage you to think of this health journey as a stair step. Okay, so when you start making healthy changes, you're going up, and then it's hard, and you might plateau, you may even go down just a little bit, and then you make healthy changes and you go up. And our health journey is this stair step, and that's great. We're moving forward. Celebrate the progress. Yes, you're going to fall back sometimes. Instead of looking like up and down, up and down, up and down, I'm either dieting and I'm on my healthy habits, or I'm not. I failed. Okay, start again. I'm dieting. That's not what we're going for. And that's what I love about Devin Klein's book, Stop Starting Over, is we're in motion towards positive change. And if you need help with your health journey, I'm Jolie DeCleva with my health coaching business, Living Well Intentionally. I would love to work with you and help you tackle your blocks and really realize your dream of being healthy, because I believe you can make lasting health changes over time. And I wish you a very good evening, and see you soon.